You've seen the movie version. Ladders go up, gates explode, the hero wins in one night. But real castles, the strongest ones, usually fell the slow way, the dirty way, the patient way. A castle wasn't just a building, it was a system. Walls, food, water, morale, and time all tied together. Attackers didn't charge first. They planned, they measured, they waited. Before anything else, they controlled the land around the fortress. The roads, the bridges, the nearby villages, the fields. Because a castle is only strong while it can be supplied. A clear example, Chateau Gaillard, 1203-1204. Philip didn't rush it. He took positions around it first, then tightened the grip, slowly. Then came the ring, the encirclement, a full blockade, camps, ditches, palisades, watch posts, constant patrols. Kenilworth Castle, 1266. The royal army surrounded it for months. It wasn't one fight. It was a chokehold, day after day. The ring had one job: stop food, stop messengers, stop reinforcements, stop hope, and force the defenders to burn supplies just to keep living. After that, siege works, trenches, earth banks, wooden screens, anything that let attackers move closer without being cut down. Anything that let attackers move closer without being cut down. Acre, 1189-1191, siege lines and counter-siege lines turned the whole zone into a maze. Both sides dug, built, burned, rebuilt, and fought over inches. Once the ring was stable, pressure from a distance started. Not to knock everything down instantly, but to grind the castle down. This is where artillery mattered, first catapults and trebuchets, later cannons. They killed defenders, smashed roofs, ruined battlements, and crushed morale. Stirling Castle, 1304. Edward I brought huge engines, including the giant trebuchet later called Warwolf, and kept hammering. But the goal wasn't only damage, it was control. Force defenders off the walls, make repairs impossible, make every hour exhausting. And sometimes the missiles were also a message. Noise, fear, sleeplessness, the feeling that nowhere is safe. In many Crusader sieges, like Jerusalem, 1099, morale was a weapon. Threats, rituals, intimidation, pressure that never stopped. Then came testing, probing the defense, not a full assault yet. Night attempts, small raids, trying to find the soft spot. Rochester Castle, 1215. King John's forces didn't throw men blindly at stone. They searched for a vulnerable point, then focused hard. Often the first big target was the gate, because gates must open, and anything that moves can break. They used axes, fire, hooks, rams under cover, while archers and engines tried to clear the walls above. Constantinople, 1453. Even massive fortifications depended on weak points. Pressure came in multiple places, while commanders watched for failure. But castles rarely fell just because a gate was hit. Defenders reinforced it, and attackers adapted. So attackers also threatened the wall base, especially where terrain helped. A slope, a blind angle, a section near a riverbank. And this is where the siege becomes a contest of supply. Because if the castle can still be fed, it can still resist. Harlech Castle, 1404-1409. Supply by sea kept defenders alive for years. A perfect lesson. One lifeline can keep a fortress standing. That's why starvation was so common. Cut the roads, take the villages, block the port, wait. Kenilworth again, months of pressure. Hunger did what swords couldn't. And when hunger was too slow, water became the next target. Capture the spring, deny access to wells, poison a stream if you can. Many long sieges turned into battles over water and sickness. At places like Acre, camps suffered as much as castles did. Then came the method defenders feared most: undermining, mining. You don't fight the wall, You remove what holds it up. Rochester, 1215. Miners dug under a tower. Sources describe burning supports, even using pig fat to feed the fire. Mining was engineering, slow, dangerous, and precise. Dig, brace with timber, then burn, and listen for the crack. Constantinople, 1453. Mining and countermining became war underground. Defenders dug to intercept. Tunnels collided. Fighting happened in darkness. Sometimes the weakness wasn't a wall at all. A postern door, a drain, a neglected opening. Chateau Gaillard again. Attackers exploited a vulnerable access point. Once a foothold existed, the outer defense was only the beginning. Because castles often had layers, outer wall, inner wall, keep. Breaching one line didn't end the siege. It moved it inward. Jerusalem, 1099. Once attackers got onto the walls, it still wasn't over. Control had to spread, street by street. Will had to collapse. When assaults happened, they were coordinated. Ladders, siege towers, cover fire, and threats on more than one side. Acre shows this brutally, assaults repeated again and again. Losses were enormous because defenders ruled from above. Siege towers looked unstoppable, but they were fragile. Fire arrows, pitch, stones, one good wind, and the tower becomes a funeral. That's why attackers tried to suppress the walls first, so the climb isn't into a storm of arrows. Fire was always there, not just as a weapon, but as a tool. Burn gates, burn hoardings, burn supplies, burn siege engines. Rochester again. Fire helped finish the mine collapse. And across medieval warfare, fire decided outcomes more than clean sword fights. And then disease, the invisible attacker. Crowded camps, bad water, wounds, filth. During Crusader sieges like Acre, armies died outside the walls too. Sometimes the besiegers had to leave because they were rotting in place. So sieges often ended with negotiation, not slaughter. Because commanders counted food, losses, weather, politics, and time. Kenilworth ended through terms and pressure. Money and law mattered as much as stone and steel. Defenders negotiated too, because honor mattered. Hold long enough, and you might march out alive. And sometimes, the castle fell through betrayal. A bribe, a quarrel, a frightened guard, a faction inside. Antioch, 1098. Entry came through help from within. One opening, one moment, and the defenses were bypassed. That's the harsh truth. Stone can be perfect. But people get hungry, tired, scared, and divided. Timing mattered too. Winter, harvest, reinforcements. The calendar was a weapon because armies can't sit forever. Harlech shows endurance. Who can keep paying, feeding, and controlling the area the longest. Later, gunpowder shifts the balance. Walls built for arrows start to crack under cannon. Constantinople, 1453. Big bombards didn't win instantly, but they made old-style walls steadily less reliable. And still, the logic stayed the same. Encircle, cut supply, bombard, probe, breach, negotiate. Because castles didn't fall from one heroic moment. They fell when the system failed. Food, water, morale, or one weak point. So don't picture one battle. Picture weeks, sometimes months, of engineering, patience, and pressure. And that's how castles fell. Not like in the movies, but step by step. Slow, brutal, and almost always inevitable.